20 in the golden one, dropping wrestling talk. Wrestling adventure storytelling, no fake news here. Yo, Mr. 2020 in the golden one, dropping wrestling talk. Wrestling adventure storytelling, no fake news here. Yo.
All right. Another episodic, climatic week of Jamie and Mike's Wrestling Adventures, back live and in living color and in hearing stereo sound. Everyone, how's everyone doing? How do you think they're doing?
Hopefully better than what I'm going through these days.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, you got a pretty big thing going on. He's got a new nickname, guys. The Deer Mower. And there's a story behind all that. And yeah, if Mike wants to share it, if he doesn't, we can save that for later on in the episode or maybe another episode. But it recently happened. Is that something you want to share? Or you got something else you want to share?
Yeah, very recently it happened.
Yes.
Going into work this morning, to the wonderful Spark of a place.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Jamie and Mike's Wrestling Adventures just about wrestling adventures? Let's talk about another adventure. Going down the road, and all of a sudden, a deer pops out of nowhere.
That's right.
Landed right on the front of my bumper. Surprising, it did not even dent up the hood. It was just the bumper and grill. But it's did a little bit more damage than what I thought this morning. That deer. So when I hit it, everything happened so quickly. But during the setting, it's like everything just like slowed up really a lot. All of a sudden, I looked over to my right. It's another deer just standing on the edge of the road, just like watching everything. It's like, look at my friend. Then as soon as I let my foot off the gas after I hit the other one, he takes off spinning like freestyle dancing on his back and shoulder, just spinning around. And he's like, hey, look at me. I'm having a good old time. And then I go down a little bit, pulled over, see the damage. I wish I was just spinning around like that deer or something, because I think he got off a little bit more than I did, because it looked like he landed right on it and just like rocked him. Like it's just like a perfect. Yeah, he was freestyling. He was spinning around and putting that road. It's four lanes, two one way, two the other way, like up in the middle of town. So I'm up in the far right lane, and he spun all the way to the left, to the other side of the road, just spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Okay, I'm picturing this in my head. And how fast were you driving, by the way?
30, 35. I
Okay.
just got on the road. I just got on the road.
Okay, so that's good. You weren't driving real fast, because you probably would have ended up 100% total in that vehicle, and you probably would have ended up in worse shape yourself.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But they come out of nowhere. I know. Deers are crazy, and especially in that area, I know they're out. Summertime, doesn't matter. They get out there, they're running around. But so I'm picturing this deer. He comes out of nowhere. You don't know what the hell's going on. You hit it, and then you look, and then as soon as you hit it, you're probably like, "What was that?" or "What the hell?" or whatever. I don't know what your expression was or what you said. We may not want to re-say that here, but
Stone Cold, what?
But then you say you look back.
Yeah, it's like it's like really slow motion.
Yeah, and he's spinning around, and you say he's on his back.
Yeah. So, like I said, I looked over to the right, and the other deer just like looked and everything. And then when I looked back after, I was like, during that time, I was letting my foot off the gas, and then next time, he's just spinning, and it also almost looked like the spinner Rooney,
Okay.
the one that Vince McMahon did up in those videos.
That was a that
Like
was
that,
a
like after Raw one day when he did it and it looked terrible. That's
yes.
what it looked like.
Well, that was one hell of a spinneroonie then. He did the Vince McMahon's spinneroonie. So yeah, that and you know, I'll be honest, everybody, it wore off now a little bit. But when Mike first told me this story over the phone earlier, I was just laughing. The way he described it and the deer and the way it was, I said that deer was breakdancing, you know. But
It was.
But yeah, that happened early this morning too. It's real early, right?
Yeah, it's like 3:30 in the morning.
3:30 in the morning. So I could see where you wouldn't know where the deer was at 3:30 in the morning because, you know, you're half asleep, you're on your way to work, and then here comes a deer out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And was there any other deers?
Just that one on the right side that was smart enough not to cross the road.
Was he just watching everything?
Yeah.
I wonder if he was like, dumbass.
To me or his buddy.
To his buddy for running out in front of a car. Wow. That's a good 3:30 a.m. story, guys. That's one I do not want to live. Yeah. Yeah. Well, is any other, I mean, that's a little funny of a story, and I'm sure everything will work out. It's just a minor setback, but is there any positive stories? Anything funny happen otherwise? Anything cool going on?
After I hit the deer, I made it to work on time still.
Okay. Guess that's a plus.
That was impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what else you wanted to say. Like,
and you're talking to a guy that you know, used to work at the same place that you did. And if I would have had that same problem on the way to work, I never would have made it on time because I never was running in at the right time. So yeah, I would have been super late.
I feel like I was running behind this morning too, but
must not have been. If you hit a deer and still made it to work in plenty of time.
That's I gotta tell you something about that off the podcast.
Okay.
There's too many ears out there that can snitch on me.
Okay.
It's a lot of people that I'm not saying everybody, but it's a lot of people that act like your friend, but they will snitch on you just to move up that next step on the ladder.
Oh yeah.
Benefit deal. Like it's terrible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And everything. So, yeah.
I try not to say too much. Well,
we talk about one of the businesses that happens in all the time. Yeah, but it happens everywhere. Doesn't matter where you work or what you do, you're going to come across these people, and it's just like, you know, if they really had to earn everything, they'd never have anything. So, yeah, it's the God's honest truth. A lot of backstabbing and kiss and tell and whatever you want to call it. Brown nosing. That's my favorite. Brown noser.
Look, it's a couple things too. My luck ain't all that bad, y'all. Mm-hmm. Guess what? I found a couple things. One, I found $1. I'm $1 richer. And then I showed this to James. I like different sports. Back when NASCAR, one of the race cars was sponsored by WCW.
Yep.
So that's up in my collection now. And just for y'all people, I did not buy that on eBay. So I know somebody, I mentioned their names, 2020, might think I got it off of eBay. I did not. And then I got a new title down there, South Carolina Pro Wrestling Ambassador.
Yep.
I got something else for the wall behind me.
What's
and
that?
that is a time card like sheet from
That is
Southland for wrestling.
right. Now what? Now not everybody probably can't see that, but what town was that card in? Was that a Charlotte, North Carolina card?
Yep, a
Grady Cole
Grady
Center.
Cove. Yep.
Yeah. What was the date on that one, Mike?
They didn't put that up on there.
Okay. What was the card?
Whew. Gotta take the glasses off for this one.
Well,
We'll be
you
a
have
little.
shades on, so
Well, they got a lumberjacks match. Ricky Steamboat and Paul Jones versus Robert Fuller and Matt Bourne.
okay. I remember this card. I was there, front row.
American Bulldog Spike versus Nasty Boy Sags. I mean, it's you got the War Eagle Chris Chavis versus Nasty Boy Knobs, and
That's
that's for the main event.
Yep, and that's otherwise known as Tatanka in WWE. Everybody. So Chris Chavis he was War Eagle Chris Chavis back then. Mike just read a card off to you guys if you don't realize it. It was in 1990. That's a Labor Day Spectacular card, right? It happened on Labor Day Monday. Now here's the funny thing about this when we speak of Labor Day, right? There's another Labor Day Spectacular happening. That was in 1990. Do the math. How many years later, Mike, are they seeing a Southland Pro Wrestling card on a Labor Day weekend coming up in Tampa on September 6th? Do the math. How many years?
Let's just say when this one went out in 1990,
Yes.
I was 0. I wasn't even born yet.
That's
Now,
right.
now, all these years later, 35 years later, coming back to Florida and everything. So it's going to be a good time at that place. It's going to be rocking.
Yeah, I think that's 35, 36, somewhere in there. Because defining when you were born, you got to do the time frame there. But think about that, everyone. From 1990 to 2026, you're hearing the word South Atlantic Pro Wrestling in the wrestling world. I had one person send a message to me on Instagram, our Instagram page, because that's our main source at the moment, other than the advertisements that are being sent out to the events. And then, of course, the Eventbrite. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite, guys. Just look up Tampa and South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. You'll find it in the engine search. Get your tickets early. They're already on sale. We wasn't going to sell them till July 6th, but we went ahead and put them on sale July the 1st, which was 2 days ago. So you got to put that in consideration. We're already making a head start on it because we want you guys to come out. Now, listen, the venue we're in is the Brass Mug. We will have a limited amount of tickets, just like any venue has, to fill out. So you want to act as early as you can going into this event because before you know it, South Atlantic Pro Wrestling will be, we're looking for a sellout. We're looking for that house. We're looking to bring this back and bringing back the old school way, the way it should be, and the way a lot of fans miss it. And we're going to bring it back for generations of like my grandfather, my father, me, going on down the line, guys like Mike that still enjoy the old school type of wrestling will have their wrestling. You'll have it. You'll have it from bell to bell, action personified. Just the way I believe it should be. And everybody's opinionated. And someone else will say, everything evolves to this. Well, you can say whatever you want, but it's just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the old saying. And I think a lot of parts of professional wrestling was not broke, and I don't understand why you tried to change it. But that's my opinion, and we have my opinion, and I will not debate with anybody. But I do believe my opinion and some of the things I state are facts as well. The way the business was a whole lot better and seemed more like a legitimate sport. That's why it was called at one time the King of Sports, because professional wrestling was the king of sports. But yes, once again, thank you for sharing that, Mike. That came out of my archives when I was moving from my storage unit in Roanoke, Virginia. I give Mike some older stuff. I'm glad Mike kept it. I'm glad Mike enjoys keeping the old South Atlantic stuff that I did give and whatever else, posters or whatever. But just know, everyone, another week, Labor Day weekend spectacular coming up on that weekend, September 6th. And the card he just showed you was from 1990 with all them great stars. But I can guarantee you, with what South Atlantic has produced now and has ready to show you this new era of it, you're going to be really excited and really happy for it. And by the way, I may not have mentioned this. I was on the front row that night to witness that on a Monday night, Labor Day. I went to that card at the Grady Cole. I never missed a card at the Grady Cole when South Atlantic ran. There was a lot of other shows they ran in the other towns around the area I went to. South Atlantic was part of my childhood. I was 12 years old at that time in 1990. And it was always a big influence on me. And, of course, everybody knows later on, the major company I grew up watching was NWA Jim Crockett, moved over to Turner, which was WCW. I got to go to them years later, which was a big deal to me. And other than WCW, as a child focal point or a fan being in it, right, South Atlantic was the top 3 places I enjoyed watching. And just to be able to bring that back and with an old school style brings me great pleasure. So thank you for showing that to us. So we're speaking now, Mike, right? I don't have any stories. If something pops up later from my personal life and I want to talk about it, I will. But, it's been just South Atlantic planning, right? And just regular day-to-day functions and surviving the world and being as happy as I can, right? Because life is stressful at times. So nothing really big going on other than the South Atlantic thing in my personal life, or professional life. Personal life, still very happy, still married to the same woman 26 years later. Coming up September 9th, we'll mark 26th anniversary. Just right before the anniversary, the big reboot of South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, the big Crew de Gras show that will prove that we're back on top by being in Tampa. But yeah, a lot of stuff's happening. But what I want to bring up, Mike, and we had talked about this.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah.
You brought her up a little bit. How's Julia doing? I know some of the older people that's been here since day one and stuff.
Yeah.
They probably want to know a little bit about her, how she's been.
She's been doing really good. We both have our day-to-day things we take care of personally in our business lives that we have. She stays busy, and then we try to spend as much time together as we can, but she's doing great. Yeah, no complaints there, man. We're looking forward to a nice beach weekend coming up, Clearwater Beach. Get away for a couple of days. I know it's local to us, but it's a lot better than driving to when we lived in Virginia, Roanoke, you'd either go to Myrtle or Virginia Beach. People drive 6 hours to Myrtle or 3 to 4 to Virginia Beach. Well, here it's maybe an hour on a good day. Traffic gets really bad down here, but if it wasn't for traffic, maybe even quicker. But yeah, we're looking forward to that, and maybe just take a couple of chill days, right? Not think about anything professionally, not even the big thing I got going on. Just relax. And but yeah, looking forward to that. She's doing great though. Doing great. I have asked her to come on the show some week, but she's when I guess it was March of 2025 or February 2025. We did our last one together because we took a few weeks off, and then me and you rebooted it. Yeah. We rebooted the podcast then, remember? Brought it back. And then over the summer, we actually changed the name to it last summer of 2025. I'm getting my years right, I think. But yeah, she had fun with it, but she told me that wrestling was my thing. And it really is. I grew up in a household, we watched it all the time. I grew up in a household where we went to wrestling events all the time. I grew up where I was 15 years old in a pro wrestling ring. Her family, not so much. So I get all the lineage of pro wrestling. I understand everything, even back to the 1950s and 60s, because I studied it. I'm not a historian like Jim Cornette by no means. That man knows it all. But I do love my pro wrestling, and I have studied the guys before my time. And we're getting ready to talk about a subject that's going to get me a little hot and bothered here on the podcast today about that. But it's about guys not paying homage to the guys before them and saying, "Hey, thank you so much for being great at what you do, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here," right? But see, I've always tried to repay that. And if I'm screwed up and feel like I screwed up, right? Let's say I screwed up along the way in the business, I would always be like, I screwed up. I need to rectify this. I need to change this. And I'm not talking about in-ring screwing up. I'm talking about just respect for the business screw up. I would try to rectify it and tell myself, you did this. You need to do better because these guys paved the way for you, right? And that's true. But a lot of guys don't see it that way. A lot of guys don't see wrestling past the early 2000s, if that, because what they grew up watching, and they don't know any better, but they didn't study it either. They didn't go back and say, well, let's watch at least the 1980s, for God's sakes, guys. Know who Magnum TA was. If you don't know who Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard are in today's world, or if you don't know much about Arn Anderson's career other than what you've heard from him in WWE being a producer, you really don't know Arn Anderson at all. Because if you look back at his career, a body of work that all these guys I just mentioned give you and pay respect, you would understand that. So anyway, I know I jumped off the question you asked, but it brought it into context why she is not on here. She just said, you enjoy talking about it all the time. I could talk about it 24/7 if I was given the chance. But I got to wind down and try not to do that because I got a personal life too. You don't want to drive her crazy. But yeah, you being a big wrestling fan, it just seemed like it was more structured for you to come on week to week and say, hey, let's talk pro wrestling, and enjoy it, and all that. So she stepped away, and right now she's not coming back on just because she doesn't want to. But when the time comes when we can actually pull her back out, guys, and get her on the podcast, we will. And we'll find out, let her explain what she's been up to if she wants to, or she can just say hi for a few minutes and go about her business. But that pretty much sums up. I know I went out into a big old production there, but it pretty well sums up why she's not on here, because the way I just talked about pro wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Not so much Julia. But we had fun while we did it, while we were doing it. So it was fun. She enjoyed it. She just wanted to step away.
She would have really enjoyed the first part about the deer stories on this episode.
Yes.
So who knows? Maybe I'll have to shoot her a message and see if I can get her on here for at least 5 minutes.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just 5 minutes. And then we can kick her right back out.
So tell me, Mike, moving along, in the pro wrestling world, any big wrestling news that you want to bring up before I go into a big topic here that I want to bring up this week?
I know there's a big one that you want to talk about.
There is. And if I get to talk about that, that'll make my my week. And but I want you to chime in on the subject as well, in your opinion, and be honest with me. If you see things a little different than I do, that's the good thing about the podcast and about you and me. We are from different eras. We do disagree on some things, but we don't get to the point where we argue over it like internet fans, right? We don't go on social media and Facebook and have threads about, oh, you're stupid and this and that. And if we do, we're joking to each other. But
well, I'm not.
Okay, we'll go with that.
But you want to jump in first about Russo, the greatest promoter of all times?
Okay, let's talk about Russo real quick.
The future Hall of Famer.
So tell me, to explain to everybody what Russo recently said online, in context, explain it, and then we will go into that a little bit.
I don't know word for word. I don't have it pulled up. That's why I'm not on here, the podcast journalist right now. I am the South Pro Wrestling Ambassador. So the podcast journalists don't have the stuff today. So, but pretty much it comes down to saying Sami Zayn's WWE Championship win was a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I pulled it up. You basically said it right. I pulled it up. It says Vince Russo said Sami Zayn being WWE champion is an absolute joke and the equivalent of David Arquette winning the world championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, I hate to say this, but that's wrong. David Arquette is in the top 5 of the greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champions of all time.
Okay. Which we've disagreed on, me and you. I disagree with that. I don't think he's in the top 5 of pro wrestling at all.
If he's not in the top 5, he's definitely in the top 6.
There's okay. I'll say once again, I don't agree, but it's not up for argument. But whatever.
Now, David Arquette had a win. It wasn't. It didn't really make sense unless you knew, like, it was for like a movie promotion. That kind of makes sense in a way. But they could have gave him like another title, not the world title, at the time, because you could still say the WCW United States champion or something.
Yeah.
Or honestly, tag team titles would have made more sense because he didn't have to do a lot of work. He could have just been there and stuff like that. But I can see why Russo kind of said that. But Sami Zayn, I don't know where to go with this. Like, he's good. Like, he's a good wrestler.
Yep.
But to me, he's not a world champion, in my opinion. Like, are y'all just doing this to what? To get a couple different matches and storylines?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are y'all just saying, here's Saudi Arabia, here's somebody that says, like, whatever, he can speak y'all language, he comes out wearing the diaper on your head, and I mean, the headdress or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. It looks like a diaper to me.
Did he wear that?
Yeah.
Islam?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
When?
At the show. When he won the championship.
I didn't know he did all that.
Every time he comes out at Saudi Arabia for a pay-per-view, he comes out wearing a diaper on his head.
Well, it's not really a diaper, Mike, but yeah, I guess we just insulted some people just now, but
well,
yeah, I know what you're saying, but I didn't know.
I'm not here to offend people. Give me the right name for it. I might call it the right thing, but to me, it looks like a diaper.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I probably shouldn't tell a joke on it, so remind me to tell the joke to you later off the podcast because I don't want to do an edit on this. But yeah, he comes out wearing whatever. I think he did it in this one too. He starts. It was before or after the win. He starts talking in their language and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, like, he's real big or something on that. He gets a loud pop every time he goes over there. So is it something to like a please the Saudi people or whatever? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really don't see him holding the championship that long.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, maybe a month. Or I mean, there's a rumor going out that he might drop the title to Brock Lesnar at Saturday Night Main Event that's coming up. So who knows what's going to happen? But I really don't see him holding it that long.
Right.
I mean, yeah, everybody that's there, 15, 20 years?
Yep.
They don't need the world championship. Like, don't get me wrong, Kofi, he was past his singles run. He was a tag team, and then all of a sudden, you put him up in a world championship match because the fans are cheering for him.
Yeah.
Like, he's a tag team wrestler now. Like, the singles was way past. Like, you didn't have to put the title on him.
Yeah.
Thank goodness they did not put it on Woods. Like, he's a good wrestler. He probably could have got like the Intercontinental Championship for the United States or something.
Yeah.
But he don't need the world title like he was rumored to be.
Right.
It's just certain people don't deserve it.
Yeah. Well,
And Sammy Wynn is out of the page of the greatest promoter and booker there is, Russo. It was a joke. Like, it really is. It honestly, is it because like the match card wasn't as good as you want it to be, so you're trying to at least make them happy over there so you can get some cheers without piping them in, because you know people in the United States are probably mad about it.
yeah.
Like, it's almost like Jay Uso. He don't need to be nowhere near the championship thing.
Was it Jay that won? Not Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah.
Like, out of the two, Jimmy's more believable as a world championship, and then he can't even get a shot at it.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if it was what there was a story going out. What, probably about 5 months ago or something. They're saying that AI was going to do the storytelling. Like, AI really took over, or Triple H has gone downhill with his.
Well, so I could see them talking to their computers, and AI spits out, maybe Sami Zayn can win the World Heavyweight title. This is how you should do it. And if they're doing it that way, that tells me right there. Here's the thing. You had Dusty Rhodes and Booker for years and years, right? Guys like Dusty, Bill Dundee ran the book down in Mid-South and different places. But you give the book out to these different guys. Eddie Gilbert had it at one point in WCW on a booking committee. Okay, well, what they did was they sat down and they would talk the strategy out on who they should push, and this guy should be here and this guy should be there and this title should be here. But if it's legitimately true that these companies are using AI to run them, would that just say that you're not a good producer and booker to begin with? If you're asking a computer with artificial intelligence to tell you that's supposed to be running this billion-dollar company's talent department and all this, does that say that you are really good at your job, or you feel like you've ran out of ideas? Maybe you feel like you've ran out of ideas. But here's the thing. Guys like Dusty and Eddie was smart. Even if they used the same ideas over a couple years later, it was with different people, and it always worked because they knew what worked with the audience. It's like you don't have a grasp of your audience. You're afraid you don't know what they want anymore. But I could see them using AI. But all jokes aside, I don't know if it's so much that, Mike, or it's like they sat there and was like, maybe Sammy's been a good hand. Sammy's been around. He's loyal. Maybe it's time to let Sammy have his day in the sunlight. And that's what happened. Sami Zayn wins the world championship. Because this is his first title win, to my knowledge. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, hopefully it's his last, too. But the thing is, let's name a couple people, okay?
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes never won the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, never won the World Championship.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Perfect, he was the AWA World Champion.
Okay, well, in WWE.
Okay.
Well, we'll say in WWE.
Okay.
To stop going off. Dustin was the NWA champion. Like I'm talking about like WWE
Okay.
and stuff. Uh, like let's name a couple more people that was in WWE. Like Billy Gunn, when not as his with the New Age Outlaw, but when he was by himself as the one, when he won King of the Ring and everything, when they put a rocket to him, just those three right there are way more believable as world champion. And then this inflatable looking doll, Sami Zayn, that like Russo said, he's a joke at it. Like you got, like I said, Jay, you got Sammy. Like they're not believable. Like it's, I'm sure I can name a whole lot more in the short period of time that did not deserve the championship, but that's Triple H booking
Yeah.
now. But you had all these other ones that was so great in all these other territories, and you didn't give them a title,
Right.
a championship. Like
Yeah.
it's a shame how it's going and everything. Yes, I don't think WWE is ever going to lose being number one out there. Just how big they are. They can lose half their fans and still be number one. Okay, it's just how big they really are, and it's sad because it really is. If TNA can probably get away from WWE thing and let them actually do their stuff and stop stealing all their top stars and stuff,
Yeah.
TNA would be really good.
Well, another thing, we got to look back at the Sami Zayn title win. Just like we talked about weeks ago about when Darby Allin held the AEW World Title. Remember?
That's a joke too.
Well, we're as bad as I have to say this. We are in a new era. We know that we're in a different fan base. But with that being said, are we catering to more of the, and this is what I call it, super indie wrestling fan? Because, the style of wrestling they're using is the style that, unfortunately, would be a style of more of an Evolve, an FIP, WWN, Ring of Honor style, right? We call it super indie. Maybe that's what they're catering to. Maybe the big landscape of professional wrestling itself has turned into this, right? But nonetheless, that's where we are, and I don't know. Do you think when Russo made that comment, do you really believe he meant? Now, honestly, this is another way you can go with it. Did he really mean it? Like, oh, that's just as bad as David Arquette winning it, or was it just a comparison to say, hey, this is almost as bad as David Arquette winning it. This is some bad story writing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's definitely bad. One, before you brought up Darby Allin, Sami Zayn winning the championship is this WWE countering the magic from Darby Allin with and try to put like a person like Sami Zayn to try to get that little bit of magic like AEW got with Darby.
Yeah.
Is the question. But what you was just saying about Sammy and Russo and all that stuff.
Yep.
This is how I look at it. No matter, like, the booking's terrible, it always has been with Sammy. If you're going to make him the world champion, you should have done that when he first got out of NXT or something. Would it have been believable then? No, but it would have been a whole lot more believable then than it is now.
Yeah.
Because you just put a world championship on a guy that at WrestleMania, I don't know how many years ago it was, faces Johnny Knoxville, and then he got pinned because Sammy was up in a big mousetrap.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. Stupid booking is going downhill.
Okay.
And you know, one thing that's going to save the wrestling business, South Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
There you go. Good
And
answer. Good answer.
yeah, the people that date again for South Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. I'm telling
Well,
you now,
what's the date for that again?
September the 6th. It's a Sunday, 7 p.m. bell time, the Brass Mug in Tampa, Florida. Um, the South Atlantic Heavyweight Championship will be decided. More details on that, and the talent will be on the Instagram page of South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. You look up South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, and you will find us on Instagram. Like and let everybody else know you like it, and come out, especially if you're in a local area. If you want to travel, let us know. You know, tickets are $20 advance. Go. Where else can you go see a great pro wrestling show, old school style, bell to bell, and get it for that price? I'm just telling you, up close and personal, intimate setting. Meet all the stars up close. Get your autographs, get your pictures, buy some merch, have a good time. Cheer, boo. It's a family-friendly environment. We ain't gonna do anything to insult your intelligence or make you feel like, hey, my child shouldn't have saw that. We're not gonna do that. We are pro wrestling, so we're bringing pro wrestling to the mat.
So, did you see at the end of the pay-per-view of Night of Champions with Gunther and Nick Aldis kind of getting into it a little bit?
I've not
Okay.
watched it.
Well, I don't know if it was on the actual pay-per-view
I don't know.
because,
Yeah.
or I know I saw like a clip on it online and stuff, but Gunther kept on saying Nick Aldis screwed him over
Mm-hmm.
like the last couple of times and everything, and Gunther pushed a backstage official or something, and they got into it. Nick pushed Gunther and all that stuff. They got separated, and which if the rumor is true, I'm excited because they both went on. They both got sent home. Nick Aldis is on administrative leave, but they're saying that he might do a match at SummerSlam against Gunther.
Okay.
Now, which how would you book that? Because me, like I hate to do it, but you have to put Nick Aldis over. But then, how are you going to get the people to know who he is or stuff? Like, do you really bring up the NWA? I mean, you can bring up TNA when he was the champion over there and stuff. That's Magnus. Like, do you bring up that history or do you just put him up in the match?
Well, when he
Because
debuted, how did they debut him as the general manager? Did they just say this
I,
is Nick Aldis?
I think, well, I think it was they kind of did it where, and then you got to actually be a good wrestling fan to know like different promotions and stuff like that. I think they did say Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis used to be former NWA champions, but that's been a long time ago. I don't know if people remember them saying that.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is, they're saying like I don't if you're gonna finally pull him out of retirement or like I don't think he was retired. He was hurt, and then they just never did nothing with him. Which is sad because he wasted what 2-3 years right there uh, doing the GM role. But then apparently the rumor was it's supposed to be Gunther versus Rules Keys
Yeah.
at the match, but they didn't believe in Keys to be ready for the big stage for SummerSlam. So they're going to bring Nick Aldis in to do
Yep.
the match.
Right.
Like I'm excited to see Nick Aldis up in there if he actually has a match. But just like I've been a fan of his when he was with the British Invasion and stuff like that. When he was in like kind of like the reboot of the Main Event Mafia and everything. When he had AJ's last match in TNA, when they was doing Cody won the NWA title from Nick, then Nick won it back at All In, I think, the first pay per view for AEW.
Yeah.
So I've been a fan of Magnus or Nick Aldis for a while. I would not have him lose like his first match, but then if Gunther don't win, like what does that do to him? Because he just beat Cena, he beat AJ, he beat Goldberg, he retired all of them, but then somebody that hasn't wrestled in like 3 years comes in and beats you. Like I don't know which way WWE AI would book this match.
Right.
Like, how would you?
Well, I know they both were sent home. It's kind of like a suspension for the GM. It's what it looks like to me from what I've heard and read. I would have it where, technically, how I would do it is I would make the match and tell him that when he gets the match, he's not the GM because an active GM cannot be an active member of the roster, and that he's forfeiting his GM role to have this match if that's what he wants. I'd make a big deal out of that, make him an active roster member to take on Gunther, to make it signed, sealed, delivered, legal document, contract signing. I'd make the whole 9 yards between these two, make a big deal out of it. That's how I do it in a nutshell. And then I would have it where you explain Aldis's background in depth when you do this, right? You talk about his TNA days. You talk about his early days getting into TNA. You bring up his full background where if people are not caught up on who Nick Aldis is, you even bring up his NWA World Title run. Why? Because historically, the NWA was one of the major titles back in the day. Everybody talked about it. Today, not so much. And that's an unfortunate situation for a historical company, even though it's Billy Corgan restarted this a few years ago. But right before COVID, I think it was 2019, he even started his run right after AEW, or maybe around the same time. But anyway, all I'm saying is Billy Corgan has the NWA. But if he's going off the history, which I believe he has, with the former champions of Harley Race, the Funks, the Briscoe, Jack Briscoe, Dusty Rhodes, all the greats. Well, this fast forward, bro, Nick Aldis is in that group, right? So Nick Aldis should get his flowers on WWE television as being an NWA World Champion, as being in TNA Nonstop Wrestling, Action Wrestling, TNA, right? Wasn't he the tag champs there, I believe, in TNA? I'm pretty certain I remember this. Yes.
Yeah.
He had some other title too, didn't he? The world title. He had TNA.
They had a world. Yeah, because it was like kind of like the unification of the two titles.
So there you go. You got enough background to put him over, and everybody, WWE, even in recent years, know what TNA is. So that alone, right there, Mike, and then with the NWA lineage, that sets up the picture. If he's a qualified athlete, he's a qualified pro wrestler, and he gets his match. They do a contract signing, but they make it clear he's no longer a GM because of the match. And he's out, but he's an active member of the roster. Because technically he's still a talent, even though he's been a GM. He's a talent still. But now he'd be an in-ring talent. Not so much as being a on talent role, as in the aspect of, hey, I'm running this, right? So basically you get to utilize him still on the show, but he's an active talent. But here's the problem with him being an active talent. After his Gunther program, let's say they do a program with it, more than a one-off match. I would hope you would. But let's say they do the one-off match. Where do you go with Aldis from here? He don't want to get lost in that shuffle, because if he does, he'd be better off being a GM.
Now,
So
do you think it could just be a one-off though? Because they, so he's kind of on. They both got sent home. He's on administrative leave, and Adam Pierce is in charge right now.
you're right.
So what if Adam Pierce brings him back for one episode, like one match against Gunther to to take care of the business, do it as a man, and then after that he gets his GM role back because he's still kind of on leave from the GM role. But Pierce brings him back, brings him and Gunther back for one match.
Yeah.
So that could work where he does his one match and then he goes back to the GM role because who do you really get to be a GM?
Right. But then again,
But
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if he's if he's still able to be active and he's not injured where he can't work and he's just waiting there to work, which we don't know. We don't know about, a lot of times you don't know if guys have had injuries and that's why they haven't been on TV and it may have been bad. But if he's good to go, man, personally, I think you should utilize people's talents that are really talented and feed off their background of being a TNA world champion, being a NWA world champion, and feed off of that. Push him a little, you know. I'd probably put him over Gunther personally. I mean, I would. And then I'd have Aldis. That the first match, we could, you know, you could also do a thing where if you do a program with the two, first match, Aldis loses, right? But he wants more of this guy. You know, he wants more. And you keep having, and you could have you can stretch it out at least 2 pay-per-views, or PLEs, I'm sorry, with them two. And then let Aldis get his big win the second one. You don't have to stretch it out forever, but you don't put them on Raw against each other or SmackDown against each other. It has to be just at the PLEs, and you get 2 or 3 month matches out of them. But in TV time frame, you just do it old school where you just feed the fire with them every week. Promos, maybe a little bit of interaction. They touch a little, but not too much, right? To feed you. And then all of a sudden you get these big matches every time, and it makes it a build up and then the big blow off. And then when he finally gets his victory over him, you know, you can set up a program later on, Gunther with somebody else. And then, you know, if he goes back to his active GM role, so be it. But if he doesn't, you have him set up for, hey, he's a contender here in WWE now. He actually beat Gunther. He didn't have to beat him on the first match, but I believe they should do a little bit of a program between the two and stretch it out a few months, 2 or 3 months. Get a couple PLEs out of them. Maybe the second match, if you only want to do 2, the second one would be a specialty match of some kind. Who knows? It's lots of ways you can go with it if they just do it. But then again, they may ask AI, and AI will be like, wait a minute. I think you should do this. So, moving forward, we talked about the GM role situation with with Aldis and Gunther. We have talked about the Vince Russo situation with the comment made with Sami Zayn and David Arquette comparisons. But what we haven't talked about is the topic of the week, and it happened yesterday, I believe. I believe it was yesterday because that's when I heard about it, and I was like, what the heck's going on? So, basically what's going on, everybody, Jim Cornette, he had a heated exchange on social media with Paul Walter Hauser. If you're not familiar with who this guy is by name, he works for Major League Wrestling, but he's also, to me, I remember this guy because he actually was on Cobra Kai series that was on Netflix from the Karate Kid movies. And that's how I knew him. So good for him. I mean, that was a hell of a TV show. I enjoyed watching it. But Hauser kind of went off here. And then Cornette blasted him, and it went back and forth for a few exchanges, right? So basically, I'm going to explain this to everybody. Cornette basically took issue with Hauser's endorsement and dismissed the performer, leading to a fiery back and forth about modern wrestling and its talent. So basically, Hauser praised Mason Rook. If you don't know the name right off, everybody, he is the new guy on WWE NXT. It prompted Cornette to dismiss Rook and question Hauser's authority to evaluate professional wrestling, is what it came down to. So Cornette claimed the crowd at the event was primarily made up of friends and family getting free tickets, stating you couldn't have parked Nick Bockwinkel's car. And if any of the listeners out there don't know who Nick Bockwinkel is, because some of you may not, because some of you that listen to this are actually friends that started listening to this and didn't know much about wrestling. But to the ones that listen to it and know about wrestling, if you don't know who Nick Bockwinkel is, you don't know your wrestling history. So that makes me mad right off. But anyway, Hauser hit back, noting that the coming generation of fans wouldn't know who Nick Bockwinkel is, but acknowledged that it didn't diminish Bockwinkel's legacy. He then backed the new generation of talent, including Mason Rook and Jackson Drake, because you showed me a clip from Jackson Drake and Mason Rook. It was the big flip, he landed on his stomach with his feet, remember? It wasn't an actual moonsault. But anyway, it was like the stomach. It looked like Kevin Sullivan when he used to jump on their stomach with their feet, guys. I don't remember what it's called, but he did it from a moonsault. The Jackson Drake guy did onto Rook. But anyway, so basically, when Hauser said that, here's the thing. For Hauser to put Nick Bockwinkel and say that he did acknowledge that it did not diminish his wrestling, his credibility and his history in the business, which is good. He did that. But what you failed to realize is how can you even put Nick Bockwinkel, and it's nothing against these guys, in the same sentence with a Mason Rook, or even for that matter, he's a good-looking kid, and I think he's got a lot of potential to move forward, Jackson Drake. But how do you do that, right? So Cornette's right, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Jim Cornette is 100% right. Hauser needs to learn how to communicate in the public, especially in the professional wrestling business. This isn't Hollywood. You may have been on Cobra Kai. You put off a decent role, but you're in pro wrestling, buddy. You do not. If you think Mason Rook is a major star, go right ahead. Cornette don't. And guess who else don't? I don't. Cornette went off to say, because Mason Rook had an exchange with him, Mike, Cornette went off to call him a human waterbed. Yeah. And then when he said that comment about the family, the guy hit back and made a comment to the acknowledgement of it, stating that, I'm glad all my family from England was in the crowd. And Cornette basically said, he was an idiot, that he wasn't talking about his real family. His friends and family was allowed in there because he said that if they were there, no one with all their fingers couldn't count past 15. So he went back on Rook. I don't know if Rook said anything after the fact because I couldn't find anything else. But the whole point with Rook is this. He's got a lot, in my opinion, of work to do to make it out of the NXT promotion in Orlando. A lot of work. And, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not here to bash the kid. I'm not here to bash Hauser, except for the fact he needs to learn how to respect the business and the people before him. And if any of these guys don't know the people before them, and this is not disrespectful to Rook either, because he's from England. If you don't know who Nick, maybe he does know who Nick Bockwinkel is. He didn't say anything. But I'm just saying, if none of you guys know who the people are prior to your eras, you didn't study professional wrestling and you don't respect it. Because I've heard kids tell me before, wrestling past the year 2001 was not good at all. Really? Did you watch the whole 1980s? Did you watch the 90s, how good it was? Did you watch the 1970s? The way they ran it, the way that it was, the show every week would just draw you in. apparently you didn't, or your taste in pro wrestling is crap. But anyway, Hauser needs to learn how to speak on social media. He apparently deleted his X account, which is known to Twitter to most people. That's probably a good idea. You look like a fool. Jim Cornette roasted you. I didn't have all the content here, but Jim Cornette basically roasted him, Mike. And, you know, Cornette's known for that. I applaud Cornette. You know, he's right about that. So, but, you know, and I hope kids like Rook can get themselves together and learn how to comment back. You know, Hauser brought it up saying y'all had a great match. Cornette chimed in. Hauser kept going back. Finally, Rook joined in. How about none of you say anything back? And it would stop, you know. But Cornette's right on this. Regardless of what anybody wants to say, Cornette is right. And you can say pro wrestling's changed, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe we've changed a little too much of it. And I think that's exactly what the problem is. We've changed too much of it. And, you know, I came through that era too. That changed a lot, right? I kept working for decades in it. So, yeah. They say evolve with everything, but I look back and go, some of this crap we're doing in this business we shouldn't have evolved with. But that's, you know, once again, that's my opinion. We'll get naysayers and people bashing us and saying we're wrong. But here's the thing. We're not saying everything we say on our podcast is a fact. We've never said that, right? We have opinions. Just like the dummies on social media has opinions. We just speak them on here. If you get mad, go right ahead. But, you know, I don't have time to debate. I can have time to tell you what I know, what my experiences are in this business, and what I believe, and also my opinions. And that's what you get week to week.
Well, we do make a couple of these people mad, like Mr. and Mrs. Anonymous.
Yes.
Did they ever come back to the email box?
I'm currently in a different email. I'm in my, let's see, that's a different.
Well, we definitely need Mr. and Mrs. Anonymous to come back. But, Jim Cornette is right on that. But, that Mason person, do you think they're actually just, I don't see him going to Raw or SmackDown. I see him in NXT, but it's also a rumor that they're going to try to, they got rid of the NXT UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they're trying to reboot or redo the NXT Europe, and then they're just trying to get him on TV to get him into like a star role, so he can be a major player back over there where he's from.
Right.
Which that way it kind of makes sense. But if he becomes champion, like NXT championship is pretty much like their world title.
Yeah.
But if he becomes that, or like actually goes to Raw or SmackDown with the world championship, in my opinion, it'd be like a joke, like Sami Zayn and Darby Allin and Jey Uso.
Okay. Well, you know, I always wish everybody well in this business that gets in it, because it's a hard business to be in, right? It really is. And it's not made for everyone. And over the years, I've noticed a lot of people get in it that shouldn't have been in it. Back in the 90s, you know, there was big guys showing up for training, take one bump and not want to come back. At least these guys make it through the actual training. But I don't know how rough their trainers are. I don't know where half of these guys learn their wrestling from. But I know that I would leave practice with bruises all over my body, just from the bumps alone. And we would train, and, you know, we trained in hot armories in the summer and cold armories in the winter. And then in the winters, when you didn't want to train, because the mat, we used for our padding on the ring I originally broke in with Stallion and them, actually had padding that was Olympic style mats like they see in high school wrestling, right? So that stuff would get as hard as a concrete floor on top of that wood. And his wasn't the plank boards like a lot of rings. His ring, the way it was made, could use plywood on it. So it was plywood on top of the steel frame, and then at least the 1 inch padding, I think it was, but whatever the collegiate style is. But in the wintertime, we'd be in these buildings. There's one place, other than an armory, this place was worse. And the only place that had heaters was the dressing rooms. It was at an old flea market in Morganton, North Carolina. And we were basically set up on the concrete inside, and they had bay doors everywhere because it'd be open when the flea market was open. People would walk through there, right? We had the ring set up there that was closed off for the wrestling on a Saturday night when we did them there, or Friday sometimes in Morganton. But anyway, story goes, it was hard as concrete. So the training was rough. When I first started training, everybody knows my backstory, how I got to start taking bumps. I was about 2 months in, never really took a real bump yet, just refereeing, trying to learn the ropes of the business, because I broke in just by being thrown in the ring. And accidentally, I was in the way of a spot. I was still learning, 2 months in. Well, I knew to take the bump because I'm not stupid. I got to go down. If I stand there, it looks real dumb. I go down. We end up finishing the match, go into the finish anyway, blah, blah, blah. And then the next week, they're like, the kid's getting in the ring with you guys. He's going to bump. And that's when I started bumping. And I took every move you could think of. I learned like I was going to be a worker. But it helped me become a better referee, and I filled in for matches. Everybody knows that backstory. But it's a tough business is all I'm getting at. And my hat's off to these kids. And I hope they succeed. And I'm not bashing, like I said, I'm not going to bash Rook. I have no right to. I'm just saying, even if Cornette's right, or he's wrong in your opinion, keep your mouth shut, move along about business. It's over. That's the problem with social media. Everybody argues, right? I see it every day on Facebook. People argue about politics. People argue about the weather, for God's sakes. People argue about a turd in the middle of the street. People are crazy. But when it comes to social media, I stay away from that. I don't argue with people. If I differ from your opinion, I move on. Life lesson, right? But it's a tough business, like I said. So and Rook looks like, he's obviously agile. He's a big kid. I just think, when you're presented on WWE television like that, how would I say this? In the 1990s, the early to mid 1990s, he would have been an enhancement talent. He wouldn't have been a major player by no means. Different, but somebody's gonna say it's a different time. I know, blah blah blah. But times have changed. But like I said, I'm not going to bash the kid. The kid he was working's got a great look. I just think Jackson Drake, and he probably will. He's still relatively young, I believe, early 20s. I think he'll put in some more weight. He needs some more size put on him, in my opinion. Unless you keep him in a lightweight division, but if you want to give him a heavyweight title, I don't like that. That's one thing I don't like is guys getting heavyweight titles that don't look the heavyweight part. If you want them in a light division, do it. But they don't even have a cruiserweight title no more, do they? So you have all these smaller guys, and you move away from a cruiserweight title. Makes perfectly damn sense to me. So yeah,
I will say I do agree with Cornette. When he wore the red outfit that one week, he did look like a waterbed.
I ain't gonna lie. Waterbeds are comfortable. I had one growing up as a teenager.
Well, I did too, but still.
Are we gonna make jokes and say we had a Mason Rook?
No, that was last month. Okay.
Okay. He said that last month about him?
No.
Oh, okay.
Last month was Fruitcake Month.
Oh, okay, Mike. We can't.
There you go.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah. But hey,
I had a bad morning, so I get a pass. But
what
is
that? what is this weekend, brother? What is this weekend?
The 4th of July.
That's right, 4th of July.
So yeah, it's 250 years for America, and then my son, he's turning 12 actually on 4th of July and everything. He's a little firecracker and everything. So happy birthday to him tomorrow, and happy birthday America. And then
Right.
one good thing about 4th of July, for all of us to get our freedom, we had to have veterans.
That's right.
And then veterans, what's the good thing about veterans? They own Cowboy Revolution.
There you go.
CowboyRevolution.com, and use the promo code JammyT123 for 15% off. Now, you can go get a hat. I don't think I would at this moment, but you can get you a hoodie. I mean, it's 100 in our country. It's 100 degrees in James's country.
Yeah.
I
Living
don't
in Florida.
I don't think a hoodie will work unless you want to wear it to the gym, where people try to like lose a little bit more weight and stuff. That might work, but I do recommend getting the shirts. Very styling this time. You could be a little Ric Flair, styling and profiling with the Cowboy Revolution merch. Um, but yeah, they got a lot of different stuff. They got bags, hats, hoodies, shirts, posters, tumblers. If you got iPhones, I think they got an iPhone case and everything now. They got a lot of different stuff up on there.
Yeah.
So go to CowboyRevolution.com, use the promo code JamieT123 and save 15% off.
There you go. Do it, guys. I'm telling you, it was a good promo for that, Mike. So one more thing I want to bring up before we jump off this wonderful, wonderful podcast on the July 4th weekend. 250 years, the greatest country in the world. I'll always say that.
I'm kidding. I like Japan, but America is the
best. No, USA, baby. So
now, I will admit, I do like Japan. I will probably never get there, but America is the greatest land in the whole world.
That's right.
With the greatest president ever, Trump.
What's that?
With the greatest president ever, too.
Yes, that's right.
Donald Trump, WWE Hall of Famer.
So I'm looking up, Mike, dates, right? So Labor Day 1990 was the card you had for South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, the Grady Cole Center, Charlotte, North Carolina. It was also the home of Jim Crockett Promotions for over 50 years, everybody. It was actually on Monday, September the 3rd, right? Monday, September the 3rd. So basically you're looking at, by the time we reach our date on the Sunday, the day before the next Memorial Day, you're looking at over 36 years ago that the cards happened apart. 36 years ago in 3 days. 36 in 3 days apart. Labor Day Spectacular, 1990, South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. Nasty Boy Brian Knobs and Warrior Chris Chivas. It was, Paul Jones, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Was it Matt Bourne and Robert Fuller? Huh? Okay. Okay. And then it was...
Sorry, I had it on mute, but yeah, you got it right.
And then Jerry Saggs, he worked... I forgot that one. Was it Vinny Torelli?
Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Which one you said?
Saggs.
I just saw him. He's American Bulldog Spike.
American Bulldog Spike. Now, see, he named a few matches off this card to you guys, right? So, listen. The card is South Atlantic, almost 36 years later, exactly. We'll just say it's 36 years apart, and you're going to get just as much great action from the athletes and performers of South Atlantic Pro Wrestling that we're going to bring to you 36 years later. So what I want you to do is get ready to hear about the matches. We'll have all that for you, full in effect. In the next couple of days, it'll be up on the internet, on Instagram. And it will also be on our ticket feeds, such as Eventbrite. And we got also a classified ad on Craigslist Tampa. and we still got them coming. We got some Tampa Bay news sites that's going to have them on there, and we're looking at naming the talent for the heavyweight championship being defended that night. And we're going to have old school wrestling back at its finest, and it's going to be a thank you to the old South Atlantic, and we will always bring up the historical fact of when they were around and the privilege it was to have them around in the 1990s. So looking forward to it. It's going to be great. All right. So with that said, we talked about Cowboy Revolution, guys. Remember that 50% off at checkout. Jamie T123. Mike's pointing at it for you. But we also have this little thing that we need you to start sending your emails in on a regular basis. Okay?
Yeah.
We need to know what the questions you want to know answered. We want to know your thoughts. Let's put that back up there. Don't want to stay for some reason. And but it's WrestleRef123@gmail.com. So, and as you can see on the bottom of the screen, you can watch us on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and Pandora. So you got all these places you can listen to us, and you can watch us on YouTube. So get ready.
So, James,
Yes.
you used to be a wrestler, right? Back in the day?
I'm going to say I dwelled in that a little bit because I was trained and I filled in a lot, but I was not a full-time active wrestler, no, ever.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have any of your old wrestling boots or attire? Do you have any of that you could bring on the podcast one day and show us?
I may have my Wild Child tights from that era. They're red and white. Ted Hobgood of Omega Pro Wrestling, our own voice of Omega Pro Wrestling, made them for me back in 1996 or so, 97, don't remember. But yeah, I still have them.
Well, we want to see it on the podcast, one episode, and we're going to go back to that time and talk about a little bit of your adventure at that time, okay?
Oh, next week, I'd love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my result book out and start looking up matches that I would have had, and we'll talk about the matches individually too. Would that be something you think people would like to listen to?
Oh, yeah, that's why I just brought it up.
Okay.
Because before I became the podcast journalist on here, and way before I became the South Atlantic Pro Wrestling ambassador, I was a fan of the podcast back when it was the whole reference show with Jamie and Julia.
Yep.
Which at that time she was the better host at that time.
I'm not going to say she wasn't.
I think she was.
Okay.
Like I was a fan, and I'm like we talk about a little bit of new stuff. We talk a little bit about the older stuff, but let's deep dive a little bit into your wrestling. I know we hit it one time or a couple times, but we didn't really jump into like a good amount of it.
Yes.
And who knows? That might be an episode where our former emailer that had like 15 different questions might have to ask her more questions.
Okay, I'm down. I say let's do it. That'll actually be fun to go back and relive the 1990s again. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, back when I was not even born.
This time you would have been born.
I was born in 91.
I didn't wrestle in 91.
I wasn't even born. I was born in 91. You said 90.
For South Atlantic. What are you talking about?
Any of it that you was a wrestler.
You're full of crap, Mike. I didn't get started in 1993.
Okay, so I was 2.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. And my first match happened in 94.
Okay.
Not refereeing wrestling.
Look, when you was, so what was your first wrestling match? In
April.
'93.
I can tell you about the first, like when I wrestled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you the date without even looking it up. It was April 16th, 1994, Calvin, West Virginia. I worked the Russian Assassin in the first opening match, and I refereed the main event.
He probably put a whooping on you.
He beat me with the Russian sickle.
Man, I wish that was somewhere where I could see it.
Yep. And I told that story, of what I wore that day. Should I save it for next week or go ahead and tell it?
I think you probably should save that.
Okay. So
Yeah,
get ready.
because I think I remember that a little bit. That was back when you was actually doing the podcast with Julia.
Yeah.
And I remember that laugh that she did when you told her what you wore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Did I say it today?
You need to bring her back just for that. Just for that laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. And back in them days, I was in April. That was April. At the end of March, I just had turned 16 because I started at 15 in late 1990 as a referee. So I was a pasty, still quite thin ginger with a flat top. So yeah, baby face, looks like a child probably. Got beat up by a grown man underneath a mask. Fun times, but I'll be honest to you, I was nervous that night. But the story of that one goes, we can talk more about it next week. But the story of that, the reason I ended up working that night in particular was, a lot of times. Okay, so you know how typically we book shows, right? And you'd have a talent list. Like most people book today, they have a talent list. Well, back then, Stallion ran so much, he ran every weekend. So guys would maybe get booked somewhere else, or they couldn't make it because of family commitments or whatever the case may be, work, whatever, and they wouldn't come. Well, this show was actually 4 or 5 hours from Charlotte anyway. So you had to drive 4 or 5 hours to get there in the mountains of West Virginia. And not many talents showed up. That's the end of the story, really. We had George and Stallion was in the big box truck that carried the ring because Stallion drove it, and George rode with him. So you had 2 guys there at Woodwork. Then you had 2 or 3 other guys and me. That's all it was there. So the guy that worked me underneath the hood ended up working another match at least. But we didn't have any talent. There's maybe 6 guys total was there. So Stallion would put a mask on this guy, put a mask on that guy. They'd go back out, try to change it up, walk a different way. I know I worked the first match, and then the other guys would referee. And then I refereed the main event because I was, at that point, even though I just started in October of 93, I was a seasoned ref compared to everybody else in there. So, no one else had been doing it. So I refereed the main event. But yeah, that's how I got in my first match because I'd been training for 2 months, 3 months, something like that, bumping. And then Stallion's like, need you to work tonight, kid. Throws me a pair of boots, throws me a singlet. I put it on, and I put on some knee pads, and I go out to the ring. Yep.
And just because of that, you became Mr. Former 474.
Years later, 97.
Long time later.
I did come out to Eye of the Tiger that night. I was facing the Russian. You get it? As you're going off the rocket thing?
Oh, we get it.
Yeah.
You getting into the ring to be a wrestler, it's almost like Sami Zayn winning the world title.
I'll take it.
I'm messing with you, buddy.
I'll take it.
But
just don't call me I don't know. I can't think of anybody that's that bad that I wouldn't want to be called.
So I got a question before we get off.
Yeah.
So we talk about all these people becoming like almost like a joke of a champion, almost like not like in a totally bad way, but we're using Russo's words.
Yeah.
Like Sami Zayn, and then I added Jay, and then Darby Allin.
Yeah.
One person that I think will be a great world champion in this company is the the number one merch seller out there, and that's Danhausen.
For South Atlantic?
No, for WWE.
Oh, WWE. I'd say I'd book him because he is a
You
big
need to
merch seller.
book him. You need to book him.
Downhouse. Let me tell you, I'm not a big fan of him overall. You know that, but the one thing I'll say is if he's selling that much merch and he's that over with the people, because I don't watch it week to week. I just read things online. You fill me in a lot of times on what you see, right? I'm going to say I can't argue the sentiment. I can't sit here and say anything negative right now because if he's actually making that much money for the company right now and the highest selling merch guy, I can't say anything negative. He's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to douse. I'm not going to talk crap about the guy just for that fact. But I didn't talk. Listen, I didn't talk crap about Rook or Hauser. Really, I just said Hauser needs to watch his mouth on social media. I'm not trying to blast people. I'm not. When it comes to that regard, I'm not going to do Jim Cornette. We already got a Jim Cornette. We don't need two of them. We don't need two guys that are blasting the whole internet wrestling world, right? And you also don't need a guy that's politically correct all the time. You don't want to hear somebody be like, well, yeah, well, this, that, and always backing up. Like I said, he's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to say anything negative because he's obviously producing money. So, for whatever reason, right?
Now, I am happy how WWE is using him, though. Like, he might have a match here and there, but it's like backstage, so they're not. Yes, he's on TV a good amount, but they're not pushing him, and that's why I think he's staying as like a good people hasn't turned on him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like how they're booking him and the storyline and stuff like that, it's like really good for his character.
Yeah.
If he goes out every single week and does a match and stuff, I think people probably would have turned on him by now.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I liked him.
Yeah. I mean, that's good.
His theme song is very catchy. Even James was listening to it a couple days ago.
I was. Mike's like, you got to listen to this. He told me to look it up. I listened to it. It lasted about 2.5 minutes, the one I watched on YouTube. And it was just his head going around on the screen back and forth and the Downhausen theme or whatever. Mike, I don't know. I don't understand it, but somebody does and somebody gets it. And
I mean, you got to think he's coming in at a time where the number one person for kids was probably John Cena, right? So he's gone.
Probably.
So now you got somebody that is more for kids.
Yeah.
And everything. And it ain't like a person where, like, he turns heel and he turns on the thing. He's pretty much saying he's very evil, very nice. And then it's almost like a cartoon character, like a superhero.
Yeah.
Like a comic book type thing. And kids are into that. So even if he turns heel or a face, I think for him and the kids, it's actually good in that sense.
Yes.
So I think he's only really there for the kids.
Could be. But he's probably appealing to some of the adult audience, I would assume.
I mean, yeah, I like him.
So there you go.
I need to get an autograph and stick it up there.
Who knows? Maybe one day you'll get that autograph.
Maybe I'll get a picture side by side.
Yeah.
The golden one and Danhausen.
So, who do you think will make that picture more sell worthy, you or Downhausen?
I want to say me.
Okay.
Like he's gonna probably sell a bunch of them for us, but I think I want to top them just a little bit.
Okay. So, what were we talking about before the Danhausen?
We were talking about your wrestling in 1993, 4, and
That's right. That's right. Okay.
you run around pasty white with the red flat top
That's
haircut,
true story. True story.
a baby face.
Yeah.
Now you got a great grandpa face.
What the hell, Mike? I'm not even 50. That's not right, man.
Yeah. They got stuff to fix that, buddy.
What's that? My
The
wife.
aging. The aging.
Well, it's like
Dude, I'm just
cayenne.
messing with
You know how it's salt and pepper? It's salt and cayenne, baby, on my face.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So, we talked about South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, right? So I came across these tickets. I don't know if I showed you one day, I think. These are actual event tickets from back in the day, right? This one was Section A, Row 1, Seat 5, towards the middle of the row. Not really the middle, towards the end, but middle, to the end of middle. So I don't know what seat number was behind it because they're all jumbled up. But anyway, this ticket's from one of the Grady Cole Center shows because I always sent front row at Grady Cole. As you can see, the ticket says North American Wrestling Association, right? The same South Atlantic logo, except it's not SAPW, right? So the story behind that goes is when they first opened the company, it was called North American Wrestling Association, but they referred to it as South Atlantic Pro Wrestling on the television shows too. It's kind of like the NWA was the National Wrestling Alliance, but they produced Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And then late summer, Paul Jones and Frank Dusek took it fully over from the original guys that were into that. And it was like, let me see, the names were like Lambert. I can't remember. Let me get the names of who actually opened South Atlantic. And
hey, you just say North American Wrestling Association, right?
Yes.
Hey, that's what I got on my wall back here.
Yeah, the program. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, South Atlantic came out. So here's in Wikipedia, you look it up. It's under South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, and they also have a second Wikipedia, North American Wrestling Association, because right here it says South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, formerly known as North American Wrestling Association, because they changed the name fully when Paul Jones and Frank Dusek took it over in the late summer of 1990. But when it originally opened in February of 1990, it was founded by George Scott, John Ringley, and Mike Lambert in Charlotte. But yeah, Paul Jones and Frank Dusek took it over. It was the last effort to revive the NWA's Mid-Atlantic Wrestling territory. So that gives you a little backstory, guys, of what we're restarting here. It's South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, started in 1990. And I started watching it from day one when it started coming on WBTV at the old NWA time slot at 11 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And when I found it, I'm like, what is this? Because I was a big wrestling fan, and I found out it was, at the time, they just mentioned it was the NAWA. I was excited. Then as the weeks went by, they would refer to it as South Atlantic. And then a few more months went by, it was strictly South Atlantic because Dusek and Jones, when the others backed out, Dusek and Jones took it over as South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. So, but that's what we're bringing back. We're bringing back that promotion, South Atlantic Pro Wrestling from 1990. And we're gonna pay, like I said, we're gonna give respect to the history of it and to the guys that went through there, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today, and we darn sure wouldn't be so excited to have that brand name. So it's a big thing, it's a great thing, and I'm ecstatic. So you'll hear more about that in the weeks to come. And then, like Mike said, we will talk about my matches throughout the years, starting in 1994 when I had my first pro wrestling match, not my first refereeing match, first pro wrestling match as a wrestler. We'll go back in time, start from there, and I'll try to see if I can link them all up, Mike, because that'll give us some good content if I go throughout the years. Because my last match as a pro wrestler in the business, now let me get this right, it was either 97 or 98. So I got to get that straight, because then I just didn't do it no more, and I was strictly just a referee like I always, when I originally got in it. So. Yeah.
I agree.
So, with that being said, do we have anything else to throw to the folks this week? Are we good? And we're going to wrap this thing up and let everybody celebrate the 4th of July.
Let's talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Me and you kind of hit on it before the podcast.
Okay.
But what's up with AEW keep doing these matches where if they lose, they don't get another world championship match? First it was Cody, then it was Hangman, and they lost and they can't go for the AEW World Championship. Cody's not there anymore, but it was rumored that's one of the reasons why he left.
Okay.
But now Kenny is in the same situation now. Kenny Omega.
Yes.
So that's 3 main eventers that can possibly not even challenge for the world championship anymore.
Right.
Like, how do you really feel about that? Because yes, Cody's not there anymore, but like Hangman, he's a fan favorite. Like, he's still over. No matter if he was doing that little heel thing or his back turns back to a face or whatever, he's over and everything. People like him. And I think he's good as a champion, but he was a whole lot better chasing the championship than he was holding it, in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, he was a good champion. But now you got Kenny. I mean, his thing is, yes, I know, whatever, he's not as good as he was. But like everything going on, and he had to take time off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he is still known as the best bat machine, the wrestling guy, the best leader of the Bullet Club. Like everything, it's this and that. He was the one that was holding TNA, AAA, and AEW World Championships all at one time during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's over. Like he might not be at the very top of his game anymore, but he's still at the top of his game. And now it's a possibility that he don't face the champion or for the championship anymore. When he faces MJF, he's got to beat him, or he don't get another championship.
Right.
How do you feel about that? Because if you keep doing that to all your stars, you're not going to have nobody.
Well, here's the thing with that, and we all know this. It's pro wrestling. So later on down the road, if you can find a loophole to get them out of that, right? But for the time being, it shows that the current champion is getting these stipulations. He's so good, he's unbeatable, or whatever the case may be, right? So he wins the match. Omega cannot have another world title match, right? He's done. He is for now, but later on, like I said, you can always find loopholes and things and bring them back and let them have title shots. And but then who's to say that Kenny Omega isn't going to become the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
You know, and to be honest with you, I would assume Kenny Omega is over with the AEW audience still.
Yeah.
So him winning it and it being a surprise win, and everybody thinks his back's against the wall, no pun, or the back's against the mat, no pun intended, whatever you want to call it. Hey, did he just win that? Even the fan that wants him to win will be super shocked.
Yeah.
Even the ones that believe he can win will be super shocked because they're probably thinking going into it, I bet MJF's going to do something to cheat, or he's going to win, he's going to keep the title, or whatever the case, right? So just think, I think strategically, I know they just had a world title change, and Darby Allin got it, and then MJF got it back, and all that, and they're close together too. But realistically, having Omega win it would probably be a big deal right now, being that they, on the other product, have gave the title to Sami Zayn, right? Yeah. So people will be looking at it, you know, and maybe expecting it, or maybe be a surprise. But booking-wise, right now at the moment, I think it would be a good idea to give that title to him.
Yeah.
But I see what you're asking. So basically, if you legitimately do the storyline right, it means he can never get another title shot. Doesn't matter who has it. It just doesn't mean MJF, right?
Yeah.
It means anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah. So it kind of puts it, if you're realistically treating it like a real contract sign, a real legitimate sport, you are correct. He would not receive one again.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's sort of like a loser leaves town match in wrestling years ago, and the guy leaves the territory for 6 months to a year, and he comes back somehow. You know? Yeah. So you can still play it off in some situation like that, and all these guys could have title shots down the road.
So the winner of the match is most likely going to be facing Will Ospreay.
Okay.
At the All-In pay-per-view in Wembley Stadium. What do you think is going to be the bigger match? MJF versus Will, or Kenny Omega versus Will? Because Will's already going to be going because he won the Owen Hart tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already punched his ticket to that show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which way do you think? Because he's a face. Like, that's the thing that's throwing me right now. It's like you're gonna have, yes, they've done it where two face against each other and all that stuff, and there's history there also with Will and Kenny. But then you could have something different with MJF. Like now, if you put the title on Kenny, yes, that's a big match.
Yes.
For that show.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you don't give it to MJF, it's like we know you can do this, but we don't think it's time for you to have this big stage over there.
Yeah.
But then if you switch it to Kenny, you've been pushing Will so much into making him into this unbeatable person with the Death Riders' help. Like, what are you going to do? Drop the title to, you're going to give it to Kenny, and then Kenny drops it to Ospreay? Then that goes back to being like a WCW booking with the championship.
Yeah.
Like, and then at that time, everybody was getting upset about it, about WCW and stuff.
Yeah.
But AEW is almost at that point where they've been giving the titles back and forth, and nobody's really having a good reign with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you're kind of like in a corner.
Now, what match? You got to think about what match the people would rather see.
Now, the only other thing that I could see is MJF does something gets disqualified, keeps the title, Kenny wins, and then maybe do a triple threat match
Mm-hmm.
because Kenny did win the match.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if they said if you win you got to win the championship or not. Like some of them do.
Well, here's the question because I can't remember. Because I forget a lot of things on timelines, even when because I've kept up with AEW off and on throughout the years. Has Osprey met MJF in a match?
I can't remember. If it has, I don't think it's been for the world championship.
But he's met Omega.
Yeah, they had a. Yeah, they was fighting. I want to say at that stadium one time,
Mm-hmm.
or at that pay-per-view one year for the United States, the IWGP United States Championship,
Right.
and then Osprey won it, and then he made it into the United Kingdom Championship or something for a while. So they have big matches before, and it's been for championships.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What would
but
you
it's almost like,
let me ask you that. As you as a consumer watching at home, watching this unfold, who would you want to see?
honestly, I want to see Kenny, but I don't want to see the title keep changing hands over and over.
Okay. Because you feel like Osprey's going to win the title at the.
Yeah. How much they're pushing him in storyline.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll watch it, Mr. Anonymous. Since we don't talk about AEW, here's your 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
With the storyline that's going on, they're making it like he's unstoppable. Like how he won. I know you've seen him with him and Swerve at the final of the Owen Hart tournament, right? You see the end of that match?
I have not.
You need to go back and see it.
Yeah.
They're playing off to Osprey's neck injury, surgically repaired, all that stuff.
Right.
And he's been training with the Death Riders. Well, Swerve did his little kick to his head and neck and stuff. Well, when Will looked right at Moxley, he turned like he didn't go down or nothing. He fought through it, and it was a really good ending to the match.
Right.
It's like they built him up to where he could be unstoppable. So I believe, and then they're making a big deal about him going back to his home country to main event for the world championship there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seems like he's going to win.
Yeah. So more than likely, we're seeing an MJF retaining, and then that brings the storyline up. Hey, you lost. You get no more shots, Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that'd be a shame on AEW for that. The only way that if MJF keeps the title, the only way that I will be happy about it is if somehow he cheats, gets caught, Omega wins, they make it a triple threat match. Mm-hmm. And then they drop it to the title to Osprey at All In. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
That way Kenny can have his match for the championship later on down the line.
Yep.
And stuff. So I would be okay with that. But if MJF wins where he don't get another match for a championship, then really, who do you have?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then we're looking at this being next Wednesday for the match where Omega could be no more title shot match. And that's going to happen here in Clearwater.
Yep.
So, that'll be interesting. So that's something to watch now that you bring that up to see how they go with that. And if they go the route you say, that'll be really odd. that it goes
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, it's like maybe they listen to us. Maybe it's just by some whim, but
Maybe you're the South Atlantic Pro Wrestling match booker. I'm gonna be the AEW match booker.
there you go. They may need it too, unless they're starting to use AI as well.
No, they can't be that stupid.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know why they keep doing them matches where they say, "Hey, this is a stipulation." It's kind of stupid because it's been many times now, from what I understand.
Yeah,
But,
at least 2 other times it was Cody and Hangman.
why? I mean, I don't see any use in it personally, but
Yeah.
maybe they got. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know.
Now, if they say you can never go after the championship until they drop the title
Yeah.
as a new champion, then yes, then I can see that, but not to lose your chance for the rest of your time.
Yeah. Overall.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
But we'll just have to talk about it on the next episode.
We will. It'll be done by then because that happens on Wednesday the 8th. We'll be back on Thursday or Friday like usual, most of the time, guys. Yep. We can touch on that then, but and then also touch on my professional wrestling matches back in the 90s and see how they went and go back in time. Hell, by doing that, we may pull up some other stuff. Like
maybe.
Because I'll have the result books out. You won't know. I mean, we may start talking about that and end up on some other part of 1990. Who knows? But yeah, we'll have that out. We'll be able to have it on spot. That way, if a question comes up, I'll be able to pull it up and say, "Hey, this is what happened," and hopefully be able to remember most of them stories from them days because it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a long, long time. So, but
CowboyRevolution.com.
That's
Use
right.
promo code JVT123 at checkout and save 15%.
That is correct.
And then please send us some emails, comments. If y'all got a funny deer story about hitting on your way to work and they was going to Vince McMahon Spinneroonie, let us know.
Yeah.
No, I know I'm not the only one that have hit many a deer out there. Now I'm the deer mower.
He's a deer mower. So next time on the podcast, the name on the screen will say the deer mower.
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. Okay.
He's been trying to get the mayor on there for a while too. So,
so with that being said, guys, and from Mike, I know he feels the same way as I do. We appreciate you listening, watching, or whatever it may be. And we look forward to talking about the 1990s. Yep. And whatever else may come up within the next week. Hopefully some good spicy wrestling news of the new we can bring up. But if not, you got 1990 stuff. And with that being said, let's have a good one, guys. Let's have a great week, a great 4th of July. Celebrate 250 years of the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. With that being said, God bless. We're out.
Bye, everybody.